Karoline Leavitt entered the courtroom with a sense of determination, her stride confident yet tinged with trepidation. The media frenzy surrounding her presence only added to the atmosphere, cameras flashing as she adjusted the blazer that had become synonymous with her public persona. Known for her keen political acumen and unwavering commitment to her beliefs, today was different. This was not a stage for debate but a venue where personal and legal battles were fought. At the core of this legal matter was a significant issue that extended far beyond Karoline herself. It represented a broader clash between dissenting voices and the institutions designed to safeguard justice. The case involved allegations that raised questions about the limits of free speech and the accountability of those in power. For Karoline, the implications of this case not only threatened her political aspirations but also challenged her very ideals about justice and truth. As Karoline took her seat at the defendant's table, she scanned the courtroom, noting the presence of supporters alongside critical observers. It was a vivid reminder of the fine line she walked as a public figure. Her words had the power to inspire yet also to incite dissent. The tension in the room was palpable. It was clear that the issues at stake were not just personal grievances, but part of a larger narrative involving societal expectations and the clash of ideologies. The proceedings began with the prosecution laying out its case, alleging that Karoline's recent statements had crossed the line, and citing potential unrest and putting certain parties at risk. Her critics seized on these allegations, framing her as a polarizing figure who thrived on controversy. Yet, for her supporters, this was a blatant infringement on her right to express herself, a quintessentially American struggle that echoed throughout history. As the arguments unfolded, Karoline reflected on her motivations for speaking out. She had always believed in holding institutions accountable, challenging the status quo, and advocating for those whose voices were often silenced. To her, this case wasn't just about her own freedom, it was emblematic of a larger fight against the forces that sought to diminish dissenting voices. But as witnesses were called and testimonies made, the courtroom dynamic shifted. The more the prosecution pressed, the more defensive Karoline became. Her hands fidgeted on the table, her composed demeanor beginning to crack under the weight of scrutiny. She felt the intense gaze of the public, the consequences of her actions weighing heavily upon her. In this moment, it became clear that the courtroom was not merely a battleground for legal arguments, it was a stage for a societal reckoning. As the defense took the floor, Karoline's attorney passionately articulated a counter-narrative, emphasizing the importance of free speech as a foundational principle of democracy. But the reality was grim. Karoline was acutely aware of the stakes involved. A ruling against her could set a dangerous precedent, silencing voices that dared to challenge prevailing norms. As the day drew to a close, the tension in the room reached its zenith. The judge called for a recess, but the aftershocks of the day's hearings reverberated far beyond the courthouse walls. For Karoline Leavitt, this legal battle was more than a personal ordeal, it was a pivotal moment that could redefine her legacy and reshape the contours of civic discourse in her community. With the weight of her ideals pressing heavily on her shoulders, the question lingered, could she emerge from this trial not just as a survivor but as a catalyst for change? The answer remained shrouded in uncertainty, leaving everyone keenly anticipating the next chapter in this unfolding saga. Leavitt approached the bench with a mix of determination and anxiety, ready to present her case in a court that she hoped would be a bastion of fairness and impartiality. As she opened her argument, she could feel the palpable tension in the room, a weight that seemed to press down on her and the audience alike. In her preparation, she envisioned a dignified exchange where both sides would have the opportunity to present their arguments fully and respectfully. However, what unfolded before her was an experience that none present could have anticipated. The presiding judge, known for his stern demeanor, quickly established an atmosphere that was anything but conducive to a fair hearing. Eyewitnesses reported that the initial minutes of the proceedings were rife with sarcasm, undermining the gravity of the situation. Instead of engaging with Leavitt's arguments, the judge opted for a myopic approach, frequently interjecting with comments that border on condescension. One particularly notable moment occurred when Leavitt attempted to explain the nuances of her case, only to be cut off by the judge's dismissive remark. "That's an interesting perspective, but let's stick to the facts," he stated, his tone dripping with sarcasm. This interruption not only invalidated Leavitt's efforts but also served to humiliate her in front of an audience that included her supporters and case witnesses. The atmosphere became increasingly charged. How could someone uphold justice while treating a party involved in the case with such evident disrespect? Many in the courtroom felt that the judge's comments revealed a troubling lack of professionalism and an unwillingness to consider the arguments being presented. Some spectators exchanged uncomfortable glances, recognizing that this was not merely a breach of decorum but a potential violation of the principles of justice itself. As the session continued, the judge's tone remained sharp, blurring the lines between impartiality and bias. Leavitt, visibly shaken by the proceedings, struggled to maintain her composure. Each attempt she made to present her case was met with interruptions and skepticism that bordered on ridicule. It was evident to those in attendance that the judge seemed more interested in belittling Leavitt than in exploring the merits of her argument. This incident raised a significant and troubling question: how could the integrity of the judicial system be upheld when one of its key figures displayed such blatant disregard for basic respect? The recent incident involving Leavitt has ignited a firestorm of discussion across social media platforms, catalyzing a diverse range of reactions from various segments of the public. Supporters of Leavitt have taken to online forums to express their outrage, emphasizing the need for accountability not just for the individuals involved but for the systemic issues that underlie such treatment. Many voices in the digital space have spotlighted a troubling trend where individuals who dare to question or challenge the norms are often met with hostility and derision from those in positions of authority. This raises important questions about societal respect for dissent and the value of diverse perspectives in a healthy democracy. The reaction isn't limited to just supporters of Leavitt. Critics of the judicial system have also found a rallying point, using this incident as a case study to illustrate broader issues that plague the judiciary. Political commentators have engaged in spirited discussions about the implications of this incident for the integrity of the judicial system. They stress that the impartiality of judges is not merely an ideal but a cornerstone of democracy itself. When judges display bias or a lack of respect, it undermines the very foundation of trust that citizens place in legal institutions. This reality provokes a deeper examination of what it means for a system to be fair and serves to reinforce the public's demand for transparent accountability and ethical behavior from judicial figures. The conversations that have emerged following this incident underscore a growing consensus on the need for reform within the judicial system. As part of this dialogue, there is a burgeoning call for judges to receive training focused on judicial temperament and emotional intelligence. Advocates for reform argue that it is not enough for judges to be knowledgeable about the law. They must also be equipped with the skills necessary to manage their interactions with the public and maintain an environment that fosters respectful discourse. This focus on personal and professional conduct emphasizes that the role of a judge is not just about enforcing the law but also about modeling fairness and integrity within the legal system. In addition to the demands for judicial training, the incident has inspired a broader conversation regarding how authority figures interact with community members, particularly those who challenge established norms. Many commentators argue that the way authority figures respond to dissenting opinions can either encourage open dialogue or stifle it altogether. This dichotomy has far-reaching implications. For instance, when citizens see their concerns dismissed or ridiculed, it not only discourages them from voicing their opinions in the future but can also lead to a culture of fear and disconnection between the public and the institutions that are meant to serve them. Social media has proven to be a significant catalyst for this discourse. Supporters, critics, and bystanders alike can share their opinions instantly, contributing to a rapidly evolving conversation that spans demographics and geographical boundaries. This immediacy reflects a societal shift toward transparency and collective accountability, where individuals feel empowered to demand improvement in the systems that govern their lives. By using these platforms to advocate for change, people affairs but also to work toward meaningful reforms. If society is to thrive, the structures of power must evolve to foster a culture that truly values justice, respect, and accountability for all. The incident involving the interaction between Karoline Leavitt and the judge serves as a pivotal moment to discuss a broader issue: judicial conduct and accountability within our legal system. At first glance, this may appear to be a singular event, but it opens the door to deeper inquiries about the integrity of judges and their roles as arbiters of the law. In any judicial system, judges wield a great deal of power and influence. They not only uphold the law but also interpret it, apply it, and, at times, shape it through their decisions and conduct in the courtroom. This enormous responsibility raises important questions. Are judges truly above reproach, or should they be subjected to the same scrutiny and standards of professionalism as those they oversee? It's critical to ponder whether we are holding our judicial figures to the highest standards of conduct and professionalism, or if we are allowing them to operate within a paradigm where scrutiny is minimized. Judges are expected to maintain impartiality and to treat all individuals who enter their court with respect, dignity, and fairness. However, the interaction in question has been perceived by many as potentially undermining these core principles. As we assess whether the judge overstepped or acted appropriately, we must recognize that this conversation is not just about one person's behavior, but rather about a system that often overlooks the need for accountability. The integrity of our legal system hinges on the respect accorded to all voices, particularly those that challenge the status quo. In a truly just society, marginalized voices should not only be heard but respected. This extends beyond courtroom procedures. It involves creating an environment where advocacy for change is welcomed rather than stifled. When judges exhibit behaviors that may seem dismissive or condescending, it sends a message that certain perspectives are not valued. This can be detrimental to public trust in the judicial system, as the perception of bias or lack of respect for dissenting views can deter individuals from seeking justice. The role of judges as facilitators of dialogue in legal proceedings should not be understated. It reflects not only their understanding of the law but also their awareness of societal dynamics and the implications of their words. It is vital to create judicial environments where arguments can be presented without fear of ridicule or retaliation. Judges should embody the principles of fairness and open-mindedness, allowing for a range of voices to be heard and considered. So how do we ensure that all perspectives are given their due respect in legal settings? One possible solution is to implement more extensive training for judges on issues of respect and accountability, focusing specifically on how their conduct can influence the courtroom atmosphere. Programs that require ongoing education regarding biases, emotional intelligence, and community engagement could equip judges with the tools needed to interact constructively with diverse populations. Moreover, establishing clear channels for accountability can bolster public confidence in the judicial system. Mechanisms for reporting inappropriate conduct, along with transparent review processes, will demonstrate a commitment to upholding the highest standards. Such measures could discourage harmful behavior and remind judges of their responsibility to serve as impartial representatives of justice. In conclusion, the interaction between Karoline Leavitt and the judge underscores the necessity of maintaining respect at the core of our legal system. It highlights the urgent need for a system that holds judicial figures accountable while ensuring that every voice, particularly those that challenge the norm, is acknowledged. As we navigate the complexities of the law, we must engage in conversations that question existing norms and consider how we can foster a legal environment rooted in mutual respect. We ask you for your thoughts on this matter. Was the judge's conduct in line with judicial expectations, or did it reflect a troubling norm? Share your insights in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more thought-provoking content that pushes us to rethink our assumptions. Thank you for watching.